that we may have situations in our lives where we don't have control over them. And I think we're seeing a lot of people who are struggling with that decisions are being made or policies are going certain ways that may not be in alignment with where we would like them to go. And we may not be able to influence them today, but where do we have influence and what can we influence? And that is, and so in a sense, when we can recognize where we can have influence to create beneficial change or to influence in a beneficial way, we can step into a deeper level of our own self-empowerment and feel that the time and energy we're putting into any given moment, we are having an effect. And the first place to start where you can really know that you have influence is with yourself. And, again, it sounds, we've heard this for decades, but in essence, are we really practicing that? And in a sense, are we really investigating our thoughts? Are we really investigating our words? Are we really investigating our actions? Are we really investigating how we are interacting with one another? And all of those things, how are they in alignment with our highest values? And I bring that up particularly today because for some of us, this has been a rough week in terms of what's been playing out politically and the tension of all of that and watching dynamics happen, and to really be checking in, how are we framing this for ourselves? And to remember that, from the martial arts perspective, where, respectful confrontation is based on martial arts, but not from the you hit me with power, I'll hit you back with power. But if you come with me with force, how can I use that force, in a sense, to take care of myself, make sure I don't get harmed, but more importantly, use it in a way to divert conflict, to divert escalation of conflict, and to actually turn it in a way that can actually bring into a deeper level of conversation, ultimately leading to a deeper level of building relationship and seeing that as the foundation of lasting change. So in a sense, what force are you putting out? I mean, there's a tremendous force coming out, but what force are you putting out? What are your thoughts? What are you typing on social media? And how are you viewing this? And to see that there might be some investigation for yourself to see how you can find a way to find within yourself more of a sense of balance, equanimity. And we're seeing that playing out in history. We just swing from one side to the other. And, on some level that gets us, on some level is moving us forward. And again, who are those people that are really cultivating and advocating for finding the middle point, the balance? And imagining that, I would imagine that a society can really come from a place of stability when it's built on a balance, as opposed to the continual pendulum swings. So holding that as a vision is, who are those that are advocating for seeking the balance? And, I'm try to stay away from terms like seeking the middle, because it's so triggered and there's so many layers to that. But in essence, what is the balance? And balance is not static. Balance is always in motion. If you look at the infinity symbol, if you look at yin yang, if you look at the principles of Taoism and working with qi, there's always motion, there's always movement. And, and the cycle of life is continuously taking us out of balance. And the work is not to deal with the out of balanceness. The work is not even to make sure that we stay in complete static balance. The true work is recognizing as quickly as possible we are out of balance, and having the skills in a gentle and loving way and respectful way to get back to a moment of balance before we move back out of balance. So really keeping this as an idea that we are always fluid. We are all a work in progress. There are very few beings that actually say, I'm done. I've accomplished my goals and I'm done. And so to hold on to that idea, it's a moment to moment thing. of how are you kicking yourself out of balance through your thoughts? How are you kicking yourself out of balance through your emotions? How are you kicking yourself out of balance physically? How are you allowing yourself to be kicked out of balance by your surroundings and the circumstances around you? And most importantly, at this moment, to consider, how are you being or allowing yourself to be thrown out of balance by others? Whether that be what the input you're getting through social media or just the people you're engaging with. And recognizing that that is the nature of reality. We're going to be thrown out of balance. But the work is, as I said, getting back to that place of our core, who we are, and moving from that place. So that's a starting point for us to go with. Does anybody have a comment just based on that, a brief comment you want to share based on what I've shared? You're holding your balance? Is that what you're doing?
I mean, it's been an intense week, and I think it's good for me to hear just like some way to navigate.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think that's important to remember when there's so much stimulus happening outside. Remember, for those of you who have worked with me for a while, when we do the core exercise and we try to relate to the world and others from our core, and how easy it is as soon as we look into someone's eyes or look at something external, how we pop out of our core. We're no longer connected to ourselves. And if that's the practice, I keep saying that's the practice, but this is really the practice, is how can we really cultivate that when we are engaging with external forces, we are still constantly in connection with ourselves as well. And that the more stressful and intense the external circumstances are, the easier it is for us to lose connection with ourselves. And that's a constant moment-to-moment practice. Yeah. So take a moment and just wiggle your what's the best way to call it? Your buttocks in a figure eight or an infinity symbol, to get into that sense of just feeling deep in your roots and your connection with the earth, feeling that the momentum and the flow of the eight or of the infinity symbol. And if you see that if you just feel it and visualize it, the wisdom in that is that to be in flow, you do swing yourself out to the external, to the polarized one side, and then you swing yourself back to center before you swing yourself to the other side. And that, you could say, for those of you who have worked with me, this piece about resilience and the window of tolerance is that what you're trying to cultivate is that swing out isn't as extreme, and that you're maintaining a more centered, more focused flow from the different dynamics and polarities from one to the other, and always remembering and finding your center, that middle point, your core. Okay, letting that rest. You can even just feel in your root or in your center that internal sense of constant flow of the infinity symbol, even in stillness, reminding you that there is always flow, even with the illusion that you are still. And we've set our motivation, the purpose of doing this, that we begin to cultivate within ourselves an understanding that we may not have influence over all aspects external or outside of us, but where do we have influence? And one place to start with is with ourselves, our own patterns, our own viewpoints, our own habits. Feeling the connection that you are making with the chair you're sitting on, or cushion, or ground. and really focusing in on those parts that are connecting your behind, your legs, your feet, using those as anchor points to drop in and let yourself be held in this moment. And bringing your awareness to your center, the width of 3 fingers below your navel, a third of the way into the body. It's a way of identifying where I would offer to investigate where your center is, your core. The width of 3 fingers below your navel. From that point, a third of the way into the body, from the front of the body, focusing on an internal point somewhere in your lower belly. Cultivating a sense of full attention and awareness on that spot, to the point of an unwavering connection with that spot at all times. From your center, become aware of your physical body. Using this meditation for lasting peace to come into a deeper awareness and connection with this present moment. Just from being more present, in alignment with the present, in the dance of this present moment, with all aspects of the present moment, that you can be more efficient and skillful in how to navigate this present moment with more awareness, information, connection, and engagement. Starting with the self, with you, and more specifically, after focusing in your center, from your center, deepening your level of listening by opening your awareness to your physical body. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. Without judgment, simply noticing and listening to what emotions are most present at the moment. Remembering that we work in the respectful confrontation method with the definition of emotion from Tai Chi and Taoism. Emotion is energy in motion. Nature of an emotion is it flows. When it's not flowing, it's on some level not an emotion anymore. It's held in energy. So as you connect to your emotional body through your deep and spacious breath, creating the invitation for those emotions that may be present to flow freely without judgment, knowing that all emotions are welcome. From your center, become aware of your mental body, your thoughts. And without judgment or observing with awareness what thoughts are emerging and how are your thoughts more than what they are. And keeping your awareness in your center as the foundation of this exercise, where your personal power resides. Now bringing your awareness to your heart or the middle of your chest, where your heart power resides. Respect, honor, understanding, connection, compassion. And from your center and from your heart, asking yourself the question, how connected do I feel at this moment to something larger than myself? For whatever that means for you. And in a sense, not dwelling on the what of what is that is larger than myself, but more dwelling on, can I experience a connection from my center, my personal power and my heart, a connection at this moment? Even if it's the most vague, slightest connection, can I simply open to awareness to that? And now with more of an awareness of yourself at this moment, and how the different aspects of yourself might be influencing you at this moment. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. With that awareness, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And now with more of an awareness and a connection with yourself at this moment, in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, opening to a deeper connection with your surroundings. No need to use your eyes. We're cultivating a deeper level of listening that goes beyond eyes and ears. A deeper level of engagement that goes beyond simply being present in the same room with someone. So from your center and from your heart, opening to a deeper connection and awareness to your surroundings, behind you, in front of you, to the left of you, right, above, below. Sounds, smells, temperature, objects. Placing yourself in a context. And opening into an awareness and investigation of how your surroundings might be influencing you at this moment. And how you might be influencing your surroundings. With more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings, from your center and from your heart, take a deep breath in, deep in your nose, through your nose, and out through your mouth. And now with a deeper connection and awareness of yourself at this moment and your surroundings, from your center and from your heart, keeping your eyes closed, just with your awareness, and from your heart and your personal power, opening to a connection with those who are present for this meditation, the circle of meditators, various points on the planet. How much can you feel at this moment a true connection with each one of us? Do you feel a connection? And just imagine that with your own desire and your own will, that you actually might be influencing these people, even from where you're sitting. And that on some level, they might be influencing you. Now expanding that awareness, really feeling, if you're feeling a certain level of expansion right now, starting from the self to your surroundings, and now expanding your awareness now out to various parts of the planet, connecting with this group of meditators. From that launching point, let's see if we can expand our heart capacity and our personal power out to other human beings on this planet. And let's start with those that we might identify as loved ones, friends, family members, colleagues, teachers, students, lovers, heroes, heroines, heroixes. At this moment, in this place, from myself, my center, my personal power in my heart, opening up to a deeper level of connection with those we would call loved ones. From your center and from your heart, opening to a connection and from your awareness with those that you might call strangers. People on other parts of the planet. People that you happened to pass at the supermarket this morning. People who work in the same building you work in, that you don't have that you would consider strangers. From this moment, what is your capacity from your center and from your heart to connect with them? And from your center and from your heart, opening to a connection with those that you might call adversaries, maybe even enemies. And investigating and feeling from your heart and your personal power, can you open to a connection to them? If so, how and how much? And if you can't, no judgment. It's just where you are in your experience at this moment, in this time. And now with more of an awareness of expanding out your capacity of connecting from your personal power and your heart to all human beings, whether they be loved ones, strangers, or adversaries. Take a full breath in, deep into your heart, in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And registering for yourself your own internal process. How expanded do you feel right now in your personal power and in your heart power? See if you can hold that cultivation of expansion as you now bring your focus, your awareness and your mental focus from all human beings back to the circle of meditators on this call at various parts of the planet. And notice your connection there. Is it different? Is it the same? bringing in, narrowing your focus yet even more with your awareness of your connection to your surroundings at this moment. Has that changed? And then subsequently taking a moment to bring your focus now back into yourself with that expanded sense of personal power and heart power. Has your relationship with yourself now shifted? Or your connection with yourself now shifted? And now with more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, your connection with those meditating with you, your connection with all human beings, from your center and from your heart, take one final breath in. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And when you're ready, shaking your body. Just for yourself, doing a little bit of an inventory of what came up for you in that meditation, any discoveries, challenges, insights. And does anybody have an insight that they may have had, just briefly, that they want to share with the group? No need to, but it's always nice to hear if that's come up. Well, why don't we, and you might have an insight, but why don't we, if everyone feels open to it, maybe share in 1, 2, or 3 words what you're aware of right now. If you don't feel comfortable speaking it, you can always type it on the chat. Hello.
For me, it was a nice challenge. Moving in and out, having all these interruptions, and then still come back to this deepened level of connectivity.
Great.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a great, it's what I discussed beforehand. That's a great assignment or metaphor is, I'm going to get distracted. The practice is coming back to connectivity, to getting connected.
I too can feel the stretch and what you were speaking about earlier of it's not static. There's not a place where we land or that I landed in a platitude or in a still place. It's a constant moving back and forth and opening and noticing and coming back into alignment. So.
Great, thank you.
I'm not entirely sure how to put into words what happened this time. It was almost a sense of the challenge of expanding. It made me realize that I'm not meeting this moment with like great expandedness.
Mm.
Well, this is kind of an antidote to like a kind of numbness or something. So feels good. It's like returning to presence. So thank you.
And what valuable information, because most people probably might experience what you're describing, that numbness, and just basically go through the rest of their life in that state and wonder why they're not satisfied or connected or manifesting what they want to manifest.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I was getting like contraction at this moment is not useful for me or for the planet. So, thank you. Mm-hmm.
And a necessary part of the process.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for that gentleness. That was nice.
Good. Todd, anything you want to share? You don't need to. Okay. Okay.
I can share. I had barking dogs in my environment as well. That took me out of the meditation for a little bit, but I was able to jump back in a way that I was surprised after they quieted down, and so I felt proud of that. But actually having them in the space, I feel like that the prompt around bringing awareness to my surroundings it was deeper for me this time. And part of the surroundings were these small dogs who are very connected to me right now. And the awareness of like, my movement, my energy is going to impact them, and they're going to be like looking at me and bringing this awareness to that. And with that, it's just that that's present all the time. The way that we move through this world. We might be in a grocery store with one other person, and our energy is going to impact them in the same way that these little dogs are keyed into me. We have that connection all the time wherever we are.
And I want to speak to that as an interesting thing to consider. A larger wisdom in that is like what we're seeing play out is, is this idea of the dogs are making noise. Everything will be okay when they're quiet, and I will do what I can do to make them quiet. And that's not really being in an open-hearted dance with the present moment. That's manipulating the present moment. I'm not saying this for you. I'm saying this to look in a larger thing. Is we're so programmed that way that the present moment should look this way, and if it's not, then there must be something wrong with the present moment. And that we develop a deeper level of inner peace and resilience when we say the present moment includes barking dogs, period. And how am I navigating that? And of course, if it's chronic and if it's something, that's really causing harm, then you have to address it. But you won't know what you need to address until you do exercises like this to get into the present moment to realize what's unfolding, what's serving you or not. Thanks.
I was rushing here from a meeting, and I noticed how much tension just stayed with me from that rushing.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that takes the whole exercise to like a 4D or 5D experience where you're also acknowledging the past. How is this present moment being influenced by the past, and how are my expectations for the future influencing this present moment? Yeah. Well, you don't have to. Everyone doesn't have to share. So if there was anyone else who wanted to say something, feel free. Otherwise, I'm going to go on. Okay. Thank you for this. I want to sum up with a dedication, as we always do. We just cultivated, and particularly in times like this, and particularly when you see, as I've mentioned before, how the internet is used to create such harm and divisiveness and aggression, that any attempts we can make, weaving in loving kindness and compassion, wisdom into this medium called the internet, is generating an enormous amount of benefit. So I appreciate those of you who are here and come regularly to help with this mission, in a sense. Thank you, Vanessa, for coming. It's great to have you join us. It'd be great to have you to continue, become part of this group of meditators, and tell all your friends and your enemies and the strangers as well. And I want to also say thank you to Tori for stepping in and sharing your gifts and your skill. I hear it was really quite beautiful. I'm glad that that can happen. It gives me a bit more spaciousness to make sure that we can continue this as a group, and that which is a comforting feeling. So let's dedicate this energy for yourself. Think of where would you like this beneficial energy to go, to parts of your life that could use some support, to friends or people in your life, to projects and endeavors that you are working on or others are working on that could use a little boost of energy and goodwill, to people on the planet, various types of people or groups of people that could use a little loving kindness and compassion. As I always bring in everyone, as the standards are, may the positive merits that we created create the causes for every being on this planet to have enough food and water, drinking water. May all governments govern from a place of wisdom as opposed to fear. Let's all take another deep breath in, final breath. And thank you. It's great to spend this time with you. And see you next week.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.